Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bark Night Podcast. This is episode 33. I'm your host, Patrick, and I have with me today Dan Carter.
Happy to be here, my friend.
Here we go. So, pretty fun episode today. We had a pretty interesting weekend at the box office. So, for many, many years here, people have been complaining that there's nothing original releasing anymore. We only get sequels, reboots, remakes, superhero movies, all that. IP. Everything's about IP. So this week, we got a total of 3 new releases. All 3 of these movies are original, non-sequel, non-IP pictures, all debuting in theaters this weekend.
And guess what
Results?
happened?
Yep. The lowest weekend box office of the year. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is 2 out of 3 of those releases being Novocaine, which debuted at number 1, and Black Bag, which debuted at number 3. Now there was a third movie that was released called Opus, which debuted at number 12. So not a great weekend for that movie.
It's apparently like a A24 movie, right? I think I saw.
I didn't see that. I admittedly
I heard
haven't
nothing
watched the
about it.
trailer for this movie.
I've heard nothing about it.
I didn't barely see anything about this in the way of marketing. I know it's got the woman from The Bear in it. I know that John Malkovich is in it. Yeah, so that's what we're rolling with today. We're talking about those 2 movies.
Right. And we both watch a lot of movies. And before the movies, obviously, you see like trailers for upcoming movies. And I know that Black Bag was pretty heavily advertised. Novocaine, not the same level of advertisement, but I've seen trailers for Black Bag for at least a couple months. So people knew that one was coming.
Yes, they did. They knew it was coming.
But yeah, to your point, like it does suck that like everyone's like, yeah, it's all sequels and superheroes, and then you have a weekend of original IP, as you said, and it just kind of bombs ass. So I guess what studios are going to do is a result of that.
Yeah, and I have to wonder how this compares to other, I don't know, St. Patrick's Day weekends.
Well, that's true too.
A better comparison.
I mean, St. Patrick's Day weekend is kind of like a go out and celebrate type weekend. It's not a go to the movie theater kind of weekend.
Right.
So that could have something to do with it.
So with that, I will let Dan take the reins on the Novocaine review. Take it away, Dan.
All right, my friend. So yes, as Pat mentioned, I went and caught the movie Novocaine, starring Jack Quaid. He's the big star of the movie. It's directed by Dan Berk and Robert Olsen, a filmmaking duo. This is their 6th movie after a bunch of movies I've never heard of before. Let me run these past you, see if you recognize any. Body, Stake Land 2, Villains, and Significant Other. I have no idea about any of those movies, but those were their prior attempts as a duo.
I know what Stake Land is. I think it was straight to video. I think all those were straight to video. Villains looked good. I remember reading about that. Significant Other is a horror movie. I have considered watching it many times, and I've heard decent things about it.
No, I'll tell you this much. After watching this movie, I'd probably seek out more of these guys' stuff because, as I said, I knew nothing about them. I haven't really heard anything about these prior movies. But I went and watched this one. It had a budget of $18 million. And as Pat alluded to, it ended up winning the weekend box office. I saw anywhere between 8.7 and 10.5 million. I'm not really sure the official number there. Anyways, it's not a super high number that you see sometimes for the movie that wins the box office. Yeah, I have here is the lowest box office leader of 2025. As I said, it stars Jack Quaid as Nate Kane, a man who has a neurological disease that makes it so he can't feel pain. So he kind of lives a life kind of as an introvert, mild-mannered introvert, which is just, a Jack Quaid character. Everything he plays is kind of the same guy, but he does it well. He does it really well. Obviously, Jack Quaid, son of Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid, who we've talked about this year already in the movie Companion that we both went and saw. He's also famous for The Boys, where he plays Huey Campbell, and he was in the Scream in 2021, I think the 5th one, I think it was. So, yeah. And he just kind of always plays this Jack Quaid type, not to, make it seem like it's a bad thing, but he just kind of, charming, aloof, kind of mild-mannered introvert. That's his kind of thing, and that's what you're getting here. And he plays it very well. He's charming, and he just carries a lot of the movie. Co-starring, we have Amber Midthunder, who we've both really liked in one of our favorite movies of recent time Prey.
Yep.
But she was also hilariously. I saw Hell or High Water when my uncle was in town, and I didn't know she was in that. She has a brief role in that. She's like one of the cashiers at the very beginning when they rob the first bank. So that was
Nice.
fun. Yeah. Yeah, Amber Midthunder's in there as Sherry, a young co-worker of Jack Quaid who they end up hitting it off and start a relationship off. They also kind of, I don't want to say shoehorn in, but they definitely hit you over the head that this is supposed to be a Christmas movie too. They say it's like Christmas Eve a bunch of times, and the bank they're working at, because Jack Quaid's character, Nate, is the bank manager, assistant bank manager, I mean to say, and Amber Midthunder is a teller. They get robbed by people dressed as Santa Clauses. And when the Santa Claus robbers come, they take a prisoner, who is, of course, Amber Midthunder's Sherry, and Jack goes on a quest to get her back. And the lead bad guy is played by Nicholson, who I didn't know this. I thought it was Jack Nicholson's grandson. It's actually his son, which shocked the crap out of me. I didn't know that was who that was. We saw him most recently in Smile 2.
Yeah.
He had a brief but memorable role in there. And he's the main leader of this bad guy bank robber group.
I didn't
Simon.
know he was the main bad guy there.
Yeah, I didn't either. I saw him. I'm like, that guy looks very familiar, and then it just kind of clicked eventually. Yep, he's plays a character named Simon.
A lot of movies lately.
He has. His star is definitely rising after not seeing him do much of anything until recently.
Yeah.
Who else? We got Betty Gabriel is in here, famous for her role as Georgina in Get Out, and also Detective Cortez in the movie Upgrade. She plays basically the same character as Upgrade here, but she does it well. She's a detective trying to figure it out, and she knows that something's weird going on with Nate Kane going about trying to stop these bank robbers. And lastly, for the cast to round it out, is Jacob Batalon.
Batalon.
I think that's how Batalon. Is that how you say that? I got that wrong.
Battalion. The man likes war movies.
He does. He loves them. But yeah, he is in here. Of course, he's known by most people for being Ned Leeds in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Yep,
And
I got him.
He basically plays the same kind of character, kind of like a loof goofball kind of. But he's fun. He is because Jack Quaid doesn't really socialize because he's his whole not feeling thing. So he's his online friend that he calls for help at some point in the movie to come and get him out of a situation that get pretty hairy. And I gotta tell you, dude, I watched this movie and I went into it with not much expectations. Thought maybe it'd be a good little time waste. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I really did. I loved what it did. A lot of fun action. The characters are likable. Jack Quaid, as I said, Amber Midthunder, all really good in their roles. Even Nicholson as the main bad guy. He's engaging. You want him to fail, which is what you want from a good bad guy. And just one thing I would say is that you gotta turn your brain off a little bit for it, because the whole thing about how he doesn't feel pain, right? They really go hard with that, and you're like, well, I get he doesn't feel pain, but bodily injury.
Bled to death by now.
Yeah, exactly. Bodily injury is still a thing. I hit my hand on the counter at work 2 weeks ago. I couldn't hold a pen for 3 days. Bodily injury is still a thing. So you see things happen to him, you're like, oh god, how can he even use his hand now? And you
when he has in the trailer, he's got that giant knife that he catches in his hand.
Yeah. And it's fine. He takes the knife out and puts a band-aid on it, and it's fine. And they never say well, they cut tendons and now he won't be able to use his hand. You can't think that way. If you think that way, it's gonna sour the movie. Just turn your brain off, accept the fact that this guy doesn't feel pain, so that way somehow he's able to use his hands when they're destroyed, and get past that part. If you think about it too much, that will, I think, affect your movie going experience a little bit. It's got decent reviews. Rotten Tomatoes, critics has it at an 82%, and fans are at an 87%. And IMDB has it at a 7.0 out of 10, which is pretty solid for that site, especially considering the type of movie it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, I had a good time with it. It's fairly straightforward. It's just an action comedy kind of romp, and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's where I'll leave that at that. I'll just say that it's an 8 out of 10 for me. I said before, that means that when it comes out on physical media, I'll think about getting it. That's how much I enjoyed it.
How are the special effects?
Special effects are solid. There's nothing too CGI noteworthy. They're mostly practical. It seems there's scenes where he gets hit with a giant spiked ball and it's just in his back for a few minutes. It's ridiculous, but there's not over the top. I think the scene where he throws a knife in the trailer that you alluded to might be the worst looking scene in the whole movie because that's definitely CGI knife going towards him. But otherwise, it's mostly, normal practical effects, fight scenes, and
What I just pictured in my head for the CGI knife flying across the room was pretty hilarious.
oh, good. That's probably about right. But yeah, it was a good time. Like, there's good comedy, good action, and yeah, just turn your brain off a little bit. And like, I know, like, people who've seen it, I know his hands wouldn't work. I get it, but just go with it, man. It's a movie.
Yeah, I think this idea only works if you play it like that, right?
Yeah, you can't be like, man, technically he's got 30-degree burns. His hands won't open up anymore. It's like, I know. Stop.
Yeah. How far into him fighting people does that happen to him? Because
Oh, immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I got the vibe from the trailer that that's early.
Yeah, it's very early. It's like one of the first things he does.
Yeah, because if it was realistic, he wouldn't be able to use his hands for basically the rest of the movie.
No. Yeah.
You
I think it's in the trailer. Like, I can say, like, he puts his hand in a deep fryer. Your hand's done. You're not going to be able to use that hand.
Your hand's done, boy.
Yeah. And like they're like, oh, he got a skin draft. He'll be fine. That's okay. I don't think that's how that works, but yeah, it's fun though. Like, it is fun. Jack Quaid is immensely likable as he has been. He's getting a bit of a risk of kind of developing into, like, you remember T.J. Miller? Like, he's persona non grata now. But it was kind of like a running joke for years that, like, T.J. Miller was just playing a T.J. Miller character, like the same thing over and over again. I think Jack's kind of heading that way a little bit, but he's good in this movie, and that's what this movie needed, and he delivers.
Yeah, I think he needs a good dramatic role to throw out there now.
Right, I think that would be his best next step. I mean, even Companion, he's kind of goofy. He's not like overly evil in that movie.
Yeah. He was really good in Oppenheimer.
I didn't see Oppenheimer yet.
You haven't seen Oppenheimer?
No.
I swear, once every episode, I bring up some movie that I'm just completely shocked you haven't seen yet.
I know. It's mainly because it's so long. One of these days, I'll watch that.
This. What other Christopher Nolan movies haven't you seen? Because
just
we got
Tenet.
Interstellar, we've got Oppenheimer, there's Tenet. Have you seen The Prestige?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
You've seen
Prestige. Memento, yes. Inception, obviously.
Insomnia?
Insomnia is real good. I like that movie. I forgot that was him.
That is him. Based off a book.
Yeah. But yeah, I just haven't.
Based off books.
One of these weekends, I'll watch Oppenheimer and Brutalist back to back, and then that'll be my whole day.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a really good cast here. Amber Midthunder is also very good in Legion. I know you haven't seen that yet. I bring that up with her a few times now, but she's very good in that.
Yeah, and here she gets to just play the love interest, and she's, as I said, as much as like Jack Quaid's adorable, she's kind of like, just, what's the word here? I don't know how to phrase this. Like, you have a crush on her, like, as an audience member. Like, she just kind of puts out like this energy, and you're like, okay, I want her to succeed.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's what you want.
My wife.
That kind of, yeah.
Betty Gabriel, she is in a couple different things that I've watched recently. She was in that movie It Lives Inside. You remember I brought that up?
You did,
yeah. She plays a teacher that is trying to help the student who's the main character who's getting like stalked by this demon.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember the trailer for it now.
She's good in that. She was also in Amazon's Jack Ryan series with John Krasinski. Did you watch that?
I haven't seen that, no.
She's very good in that. It's very good. Honestly, it's, probably the best Jack Ryan thing we've gotten since the Harrison Ford movies.
Better than Sum of All Fears?
Yes, better than Sum of All Fears. Apparently she's in Westworld too, but I don't remember her being in that.
I don't either. I watched Westworld like power watch like the first season in like a weekend, and I barely remember it. I probably should go back to it.
It's very good. It's hard to find because it's not on HBO Max anymore, and they're the ones that made it. So that's to say it's it's extremely difficult to find.
Now, how does that work? We don't got time for that. Moving past it.
No, we don't have time for that. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, enjoyed the heck out of it. I think people should go. If you have any interest in it, go catch it. You'll have a good time. But like I said, just turn your brain off. It's a dumb action flick. give it a watch.
Yeah, and so what did that take at the box office this weekend?
Yeah, I had a couple different numbers here. I saw either 8.7 to 10.5 million. So I'm not sure exactly where they fell, but that was where I saw the numbers falling. And it
Okay.
was a budget of 18, so
Okay, so it'll probably make its budget back as long as it has a good weekend next weekend. It's unfortunate that that didn't do too well. I mean, it's not awful, but it's also like,
I don't think it was advertised as much as it should have been.
I've seen that trailer many times, but
You have?
also I saw it before a lot of movies. Every time I've gone to the movies for the last like 2 or 3 months, I've seen this trailer.
See, I've seen Black Bag, so
Which is interesting because you went and saw Novocaine and I went and saw Black Bag after
yeah, that's just how funny it works.
getting hit with the marketing for it.
Yeah, Holly wanted to see Novocaine. I think she's got a little bit of a crush on Jack Quaid, and that's fine. I'll go watch a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so to frame this a little bit more for our audience, Dan saw Novocaine. I did not see it. We were both supposed to go see it, but I switched it up because my wife wanted to go see Black Bag instead. I showed her the trailer for both. It was like pouring here yesterday, so I was like, "Hey, you want to go to the movies with me?" I
Here
ask her
too.
every time, but usually it's a horror movie, and she's like, "No." But I was like, "It's not horror this time," and she's like, "Well, what is it?" And I showed her that trailer, and she's like, "Eh."
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. And I was like, well, there's another one that you might like. And she loves like espionage movies. So I was
Perfect.
like, what do you think of this? She's like, yeah, I'll go see that. So we went with that one.
It's a good call. Happy,
Yeah.
happy wife, happy life, right?
That's right. And I wanted to see this too. I've brought this up a few different times recently about wanting to see this. It's Steven Soderbergh's the second part of his double feature for this year because he released Presents a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Not even a couple months ago, like a month ago, I think. So good start to the year for him. But do you have anything else for Novocaine, or you want to move on to the next one?
I'd move on, but I don't think I got anything too much more written down here.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
good.
So Black Bag. This one is directed by Steven Soderbergh. We know him as, like I said, he did Presents like a month ago, but he's also done, I'll just list a couple of these, but he has directed, I don't even know, 40 movies at this point.
Prolific.
But yeah. So he also did Haywire, Side Effects, Contagion, all of the Oceans movies, so Oceans 11, 12, and 13, Traffic, and Out of Sight. I think if I'm thinking of the things that this reminds me most of, it's Haywire and Oceans 11.
All right.
Haywire from like the general spy movie vibes that it gives off. That movie's very, very action oriented.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's all those scenes where everybody's sitting down and they're talking about the spy stuff, and it's very much in that vein. But from the Ocean's 11 standpoint, it's a bit of an ensemble. The music has vibes of it a lot, and it works. It works very well from that standpoint. But yeah, written by David Koepp, who also wrote Presents. He also wrote Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. War of the Worlds 2005, he wrote that as well. Another one that was from Spielberg. He also wrote Secret Window. That's based on
Stephen King.
an adaptation of Stephen King, exactly. He also wrote the first Spider-Man movie that
Nice.
Sam Raimi directed. Yeah. He did Panic Room from David Fincher, which I'm a big fan of. Watched that a few weeks ago. He wrote Stir of Echoes,
which we both like.
Yep. He wrote Snake Eyes. Have you seen that one? Nick Cage
Not
movie?
in a long time. I remember watching it as a kid and thinking, that's fine, and then never went back to it.
I feel like that's one that like I thought was going to be more in the vein of like Con Air, but ended up not being. But I think I've been thinking of giving it a rewatch, with renewed eyes of like I think that one might be more of an adult movie than I was prepared for at the time. He also wrote Jurassic Park and Lost World.
So those are pretty big.
Yeah, those are very big. Once again, Steven Spielberg, see a pattern there. He wrote Mission Impossible.
Nice.
Which who did that? Was Brian De Palma that did that.
I believe so. The first one, at least.
One there. It's very good. He did The Shadow with Alec Baldwin, which I gotta say, like, I'm kind of a fan of that movie. I've always liked it for it's a little cheesy and silly, but it's fun. And he did Carlito's Way and Death Becomes Her, which are two very big movies from the 80s.
Oh yeah. Death Becomes Her is a movie I've been meaning to go back to. I just haven't gotten there yet.
They just did a new 4K edition of it.
Of course they did.
Great time to watch that one. Shout Factory has a poster and all sorts of fancy stuff you can do with it. And I feel like that one might do well for a 4K because of just, with it being from I think that's late 80s, right?
Late 80s to early 90s. I think I want to say 92, but that's just out of nowhere. I can look that up while you keep talking.
That's possible because I think he made that right before Carlito's Way. And I think I always feel like Carlito's Way is from the 80s, but I think it might actually be from like 1991 or 2.
Death Becomes Her is 92.
Yeah, so maybe Carlito's 92 as well.
93.
93.
That's
wow.
way later than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Sean
like
Penn
87.
in that movie, he's like the most 80s version of himself, like he could be. That's interesting. But yeah, so the cast, we have Michael Fassbender, ton of movies everybody knows him from. Sarah actually asked me, she's like, what do I know him from? And I couldn't think of anything. I was like, well, he's in Prometheus and Alien Covenant, but you definitely don't know him from those. But
Magneto?
What she was actually recognizing him from was Magneto. So he's Magneto in the Fox X-Men films. He was also in The Killer.
The second series.
Yeah, the prequel ones.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch The Killer?
No,
David
it's been on my
Fincher,
list.
Netflix.
I know it's good. I just haven't got to it.
It's very good. His performance here and kind of the movie, just the vibe of the movie as a whole, it's actually pretty similar, I think. Also, Assassin's Creed, he's also in Haywire, and his breakout films being Inglourious Basterds and 300. I think a lot of people forget he's in 300. He's very good in that. That was like his breakout for performance.
He's the one who says, like when they're talking about how the arrow's going to rain down upon him, he's like, they will fight in the shade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That guy. Yeah, and then Inglourious Basterds is the one that really put him on the map for people because that movie was massive. 300's an ensemble. I mean, to a certain point, Inglourious Basterds is too, but he has a much larger role in that. He's very good in
that. That scene in Inglourious Basterds, we've referenced it here before about the scene at the table with the German officer and ordering the drinks. That's such an intense, awesome scene. So, yeah.
It is. It is. That's one of my favorite scenes there. Whenever I think of that, I always think of it where he's like, yeah. And they're like,
well, that's not the way to do that.
Yeah. Such a good scene.
It is.
Big fan of that. Also in the cast, we have Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett is known for Tar, Nightmare Alley. For a lot of the comic book fans out there, Thor Ragnarok is her claim to fame. Fantasy fans, we have her as the original Galadriel in Lord of the Rings. Blue Jasmine, Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Aviator, The Missing. Tons and tons of other movies. She's been in so many things.
The Missing, wow.
Yeah, I threw that in there because I was like, you know what? I just watched this for the first time last year. I'm going to throw this in there. You'll see a couple other ones of those for these other.
Is it because it was a 2003 one too?
That
I think it is.
You snuck up on me with that.
Yeah,
It is 2003, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I was happy with that movie. I thought it was going to be more like when I originally saw the trailer for that, I thought it was going to be a horror movie. It's not, but it's fun.
It's fun.
Also, Tom Berk. Tom Berk has not been in a lot of things, but he was Furiosa's sidekick in the new Furiosa movie, the guy that like the driver that takes her on.
Yes. Oh my god, I almost had his name. Baturian Jack, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right. Another one is Marissa Abella. She's in Industry and Barbie and a couple other things. I haven't seen either of those. I hadn't seen anything she's been in, but she's very good in this. She plays like the young spy who is, I don't know, just the young person in the ensemble.
You need it.
Yeah. And then we have Rege-Jean Page, who's known for Dungeons and Dragons, the new one, The Gray Man, and Bridgerton. He is...
Oh, was he the paladin guy?
I don't know, man.
Sorry, I'll check that out. You keep talking. I apologize.
I'm like, I don't.
Why are you following up questions?
Don't ask me Dungeons and Dragons questions. I don't know the lingo. But if you look him up and see his face, you will 100% be
Ah,
like, yes, I know that guy.
yep, exactly. And he was the paladin in that movie, so that's all
Nice.
right.
What's a paladin, Dan? Educate me.
Paladin's a holy warrior.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Naomi Harris is also in it. She is another one of the people in this crew of spies. She's known for being in all of the Daniel Craig Bond movies except Casino Royale, but she was in the rest of them.
Moneypenny?
She's Moneypenny, exactly. Spoiler alert for Skyfall. That's who she is. You don't learn till the end. Sorry.
Oops.
You should have watched it by now.
Yes,
It's
it's been
your
a while.
fault.
It's really good.
It is very good. It's probably my favorite of all those. Also, she's in 28 Days Later.
Mm-hmm.
We're a big fan of that movie. I just watched her in that not too long ago. She's super good in it. She's also in Moonlight. She was in the somewhat mediocre Venom movie, Let There Be Carnage. She was also in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and After the Sunset.
Oh,
Most
okay.
people don't know about After the Sunset, but I highly recommend it. It's very good. Because it also has Pierce Brosnan in it, who's also in this. He has his own James Bond movies, including Goldeneye. I'm a big fan of that one. He was also in the Thomas Crown Affair, The November Man, The Foreigner, Mamma Mia, that's Dan's favorite, The Matador, Seraphim Falls, After the Sunset that I just mentioned, The Tailor of Panama, Dante's Peak,
Love that movie.
Mars Attacks, and a
Love that
couple 80s and 90s movies that everybody might not know about, but I'm a big fan of. It's Detonator, Livewire, and Nomads. Nomads being a horror movie. Check it out. Final person I have in the cast here is Gustav Skarsgård, who's the lesser known of the Skarsgård brothers. He's known for minor roles in Oppenheimer and Westworld, major role in Vikings. Very good in that from the couple episodes I saw of that. So yeah, for the plot for this movie, it is basically it's a spy movie. It's a espionage, spy thriller. Michael Fassbender finds out there is a mole in his group of, I believe, MI6 spies. And so there's 6 people including him, and he's basically trying to figure out who the mole is. And you spend the whole movie with him working through that journey. So he's your guy. He's your point of view into this group. Everybody within the group has various roles. They're not all like soldiers or anything like that. Like one of them is the shrink for the office. Pierce Brosnan is like a department head, but he's not Michael Fassbender's department head. So you get really a lot of variety in sort of how these people are working together. But that's really how it unfolds. It's kind of told as a mystery.
Okay. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. Box office. So this had a budget of 50 to 60 million. I saw conflicting reports out there.
Woof.
That I was surprised about that. Having seen the movie and seeing like y'all spent too much money on this movie.
Pierce Brosnan ain't cheap, man.
That's the bottom line, I think, is that they simply just spent too much money on it. And I mean, I have to imagine that half of that is for the cast, right?
Yeah, has to be. I mean, Cate
$40
Blanchett,
million on the cast,
yeah.
$20 million on the movie. I don't know, something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's accurate.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, yeah, like you said, Cate Blanchett, she has a hefty price tag, and yeah, I'm sure she earned it with this one. Box office in the U.S., it took 7.5 million. Worldwide, 11.7. So it's going to have an uphill battle to make money.
Struggle.
And I'm willing to bet that it's not. But that's not to say that it won't have a second wind on digital. I'm getting the vibe that it's going to. It is a very good movie. And it's also the type of movie that I think thrives on digital,
Word of mouth kind of thing. Like people see it. They say, hey, this movie's on whatever. Watch it. Right? That's what you're saying?
The type of movie that people are willing to pay to watch in the quiet of their own home, but don't want the hustle and bustle of a movie theater. Maybe they don't want the, $60 price tag of popcorn and all that. All the different reasons you might not like a theater going experience. But I do think in the long run, people are going to really come to appreciate this one. And I think digital's where they do that.
Yeah.
For reviews, We got IMDB at a 7.4 out of 10. Interestingly,
That's pretty good.
Sarah actually asked for the ratings too. She's like, where are both of these rated at? I was like, Novocaine's at a 7. This is at a 7.4. She's like, I was like, it sounds like you're not going to have a bad time no matter what.
Yeah.
And she was like, let's go with this one. And I still might go see Novocaine. I think there's a good chance, depending on
I think you'll
how
like
the
it.
weather is this week and all that. But from Rotten Tomatoes, for critics, this has a 96%.
Dang.
That's a big number. Audience, a little lower with 70. Where that discrepancy comes from, who knows? Critics know what they're getting into with movies, I think. If a critic sees the trailer for this movie, they're probably going to know exactly what they're getting for it. Audiences tend to be not as good at that.
The Joe Schmo sees it. They're thinking it's going to be an action picture, and it's not an action picture.
It's not an action movie, and I can't state that enough. There's very little action in this movie. So I guess to jump into my review, the strength of this movie is in it's very tense, and it's got brilliant dialogue, and it sets up scene after scene after scene where everything that's happening, you're just wondering and working out how this is all unfolding the entire time. There are many scenes where it's just one person talking to another, and you are just really wondering where this conversation is going to go. There's a couple different scenes where you have everybody in one room that Michael Fassbender's trying to figure out who the mole is. And he's purposefully put everybody in one room to try and, play a game where he's putting things out there to try and see how everybody reacts to them. And the way it's done it's masterful. That's all I can say. There was many pieces in this where it reminded me of like Quentin Tarantino movies, like The Hateful Eight.
It's high praise.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say how much I really, really loved this movie. But I also I want to stress for people that so that they know what they're getting into with it. Like that's what it is. That's what a lot of it is. So a big part of the movie, big part of the trailers is Michael Fassbender. One of these people that may be the mole is his wife. His wife also is a spy. They're both spies, and there's an entire scene, and it's not a long scene, but it's like, a couple minutes long, where they go to the movies together, and he is just watching to see how she reacts to this movie because he wants to know if she's seen it before because he found a movie ticket.
Okay.
And so he's trying, you're just the camera's looking at him, and then it's looking at her. And it's so subtle, the details that they put in there. Like, you see her act surprised to this scene, but you know that she knows that he's watching her. So you're like, is she reacting like this because she's actually surprised by it? Or is she reacting like this because
she thinks
that's knows what he's watching him?
Mm-hmm.
So there's many, many subtle things like that going on. And I have been accused multiple times lately of really enjoying what other people consider boring movies. So, maybe this is my boring movie era, but, but I will say, like, I was completely intrigued by this movie the whole time. And not only that, but Sarah loved it too. So
that's big.
She gets very bored with movies very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when this movie ended, she looked at me and she was like, I love that so much. And I was like, well, that's great. But she did admit that there was a point in the movie where she was like, I think I might just take a nap right now. But she said, like, as soon as it passed very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like, there's a couple gunshots fired at the end. A car gets blown up. So it's not completely without its action, but it's over quickly, and it's not over the top.
Yeah, it's not the focus.
Not the focus whatsoever. And when it arrives, you're like, oh, that's nice. A
little treat for me.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the way they tell the story is that it weaves like the social, marital, and office dynamics of being a spy with the tension of this plot device of hunting for a mole, you know? So you get the vibe that everybody that's here, they know each other very well. They have a history together. You know, they know that who each other are sleeping with. You know, there's a lot of people sleeping with each other in this group.
Nice.
And, you know, so there's a lot of, you know, those sorts of dynamics that you see in social groups, that you see in office groups, you know. So they're weaving that stuff in really well, and I thought it was extremely well done. It also reminded me a lot of, like, you know, 70s spy movies, and even to a point, some of it reminded me of, like, The Godfather Part 2 in a couple scenes. And I don't want to spoil what the scenes are, but you'll know them when you
When I
see
see
them.
him, okay.
I've been watching a lot of 70s movies lately, so it really reminded me of that. A couple other things I liked in it. Music. Music is the perfect blend of different instruments just being used in unique ways. You know, you hear a lot of different instruments. They're used to pick up the pace at certain parts. They're used in just a lot of unique ways. And the best way I could describe it is it reminded me of Ocean's 11.
Okay.
I think the cast is probably one of the greatest strengths of the movie. Can't stress that enough.
I spent enough money
Fassbender
on
and
it.
Blanchett, their scenes together really work. You want to see more of their scenes together. You want to see more of them. But the whole device of them telling the story of who this couple is, how they fit into this group, are they a power couple, how they tie that together, you know, they weave that stuff together very well. Also, I think an extreme strength of the movie is its length. You never get bored with it because it's only 93 minutes long.
Gotta appreciate that.
Sarah said, like, she's like, I think every movie should be this length. Because, you know, I think if this was 2.5 hours long, you would get bored with it.
Oh yeah.
You know, it would fall into the Martin Scorsese trap.
This
And
is
a
really
lot of these
good,
spy
but I'm
movies like
tired.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these spy movies like this, I think they fall into that trap, you know?
That's good. I'd like to hear that it's not a short movie, but a decent length.
I don't think it's too quick, you know? If there was a director's cut of this that was 15 minutes longer, I would watch it. But I think as it stands, it's like the perfect length. Cinematography, costume design, they're all top notch. Everything looks like as nice as it's going to in a movie like this. You know, beautiful outfits. Everybody in it has money.
Mm-hmm.
The house of our couple, beautiful house, you know. So everything looks very nice. It even reminded me of David Fincher movies a couple times, you know, like I brought up The Killer, you know, but it reminded me of some of his other ones too, like what am I thinking of? Mindhunter maybe.
Okay.
You know, some of the outfits that you see in that. That's a period piece, so not in that way, but more in like the way of like the way he represents elegance in that
Like
movie.
the Hannibal Lecter stuff.
No, more of like
We're thinking the same movie,
the
Mindhunter, right? With the OG Silence of the Lamb movie.
No. Mindhunter, the Netflix show from David Fincher.
My bad. I was doing the old, like the first attempt at Hannibal
Yeah.
Lecter.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
that's
not
a
that
thing.
one. Mindhunter, the FBI show
Okay.
that he did that only lasted for like 2 seasons that I would love for them to finish.
Yeah, my mother
Uh,
loves that show.
it's very good. You should watch it. It's very, very good. Yeah, so it reminded me of that. Or have you seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Once. I don't remember much about it.
That might even be a better comparison of the way he uses, because there's like a rich family, and the way he uses like the architecture and the design of the rooms,
To let you know
and
they're rich.
yeah,
Yeah.
all of that stuff is done very well. But I think this is going to be one of those movies that you it gets better on each rewatch, because there's so much happening behind the scenes that you're not seeing, that is sort of revealed later, you know, like with any mystery. And
Right.
so to see how you're kind of tracking that stuff down, and like, oh, so this is what this person was thinking here. This is what they're thinking here.
And that's a lot of fun in movies like that. Like the rewatching it and going like, I missed that the first time, but now I get it.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah,
Knives Out
because
and stuff like that.
yeah. Oh, I saw somebody on Threads bring up that this reminded them of like a Knives Out movie, but without like the quirkiness,
Fair.
you know?
Yeah.
There's none of that. It's all played very straight, very serious. and it doesn't show any of those things. There's no like flashback scenes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you're purely playing off of like it's told squarely from Fassbender's point of view, but it's playing a lot with like as he realizes what people's motives are and things like that. It's very good, you know. And so I don't want to say anything more because of, you know, I feel like I've said a lot already, and I don't want to spoil this for anybody. But the bottom line of it is that I highly recommend this. I think if this is your type of movie, you should go see it because it's extremely well done.
Very cool. So we both got movies we liked. That's awesome.
We both got movies we liked. And I think I was just really in the mood for something like this too. So,
and I was in the mood for something like Novocaine, so it just that matters. Like, not to, I think we said before, but like if you go into a movie without the right mindset, it's gonna affect how you enjoy it.
Yeah, 100%. So I think for both of these movies, I'd say that people should get out there and see these because you want more of this. You want more original movies.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we can use more comedies out there, more comedies that aren't Marvel movies, you know?
Right.
I think Marvel movies
need to get away from
kind
comedy.
of have the monopoly on comedy lately.
Which is weird.
It is weird because they've turned it into an ingredient instead of a main course, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where all their movies have a slant of comedy in them, but you know, it's somehow caused no comedies to get made anymore.
Yeah. So weird. But yeah, I completely agree.
Except for like TV, basically. TV's the only ones doing comedy at this point.
So
but yeah, please go see these.
Go see them.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got our news. I don't have a ton of news to go over this week, so that'll be quick. Unless, you know, Dan, you have something.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that it looks like Mickey 17 is going to be arriving on home media by the end of the month to show you how well that movie did and how much money the studio's looking to lose on it. I was shocked when I saw that.
That is somewhat disappointing because Mickey 17, I thought, was making a bit of a I don't want to say comeback, but it took second place this week. It took another 7.5 million. And if I'm not mistaken, I think its worldwide gross is pretty high to the point where, let's see. Yeah, worldwide gross is up to 90.5 million.
It's not terrible.
So in a couple weeks, if they keep pulling out, you know, the 7.5 or maybe worldwide hitting into the double digits each week, they could easily make their money back. You know, won't cover marketing, but...
Yeah, it says it's going to start streaming on March 25th.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like very soon.
That is very soon. I think that, you know, they really need to make a point to let these things breathe at the movie theaters lately. Mm. And I think they need to do it with a big announcement. Really let audiences know that, you know, once upon a time, I think movies did better because there was such a, you know, you had to wait months.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Is that if you didn't catch a movie when it was in theaters, you had to wait like 8 months before it was available to buy. Like, that's an exaggeration, but you know, it was a while.
It was, I think, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
It was up there. So I think now having to wait, give it a 90-day window mandatory.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's fair. That's insanely how quick that's. The 25th is what, next week?
Yeah, it is next week.
Yeah.
So this movie
crazy.
has one more weekend at the box office where they could have brought in another, you know, 7 to 10 million for this movie easily, where it's making its budget back, and then push it over there.
Do you have it's Warner Brothers? It is Warner Brothers. So there we go. There's the problem. Sorry, Warner Brothers. You don't know what you're doing.
Warner Brothers is notorious for not knowing what they're doing and, you know, making missteps on every turn.
Yeah. Speaking of Warner Brothers, apparently there was a Looney Tunes movie that came out this weekend. I didn't hear anything about it, but it was one of the ones they tried to shelve.
Flew up.
Yeah, they tried to shelve it for a tax write-off.
That movie, wait, the one they tried to shelve for a tax write-off? That's the one that came out?
That's the one that they tried to shelve, and they some other studio got the rights to it and put it out. But I saw no marketing for it.
I don't think this is that one, because that one was like a courtroom drama.
Oh, I thought it was this one.
I think I'm pretty sure it's a different one.
Oh, well, I apologize to... No, I'm not going to apologize to Warner Brothers. They can deal with it.
Yeah, I just looked this up. It is not the same one.
I thought it was. Well, my apologies then.
That's okay.
But then again, I didn't see any marketing for this Looney Tunes movie.
Yeah, and it doesn't, I mean, for what it's worth, it doesn't seem to have a big cast either. Like, there's no, like, movie stars I see in this cast. So I think that, Wayne Knight is in it.
Nice. Love him. To a degree.
So I'm wondering if the budget was real low on this, too, and it might have been one of those that, you know, they were... Budget's $15 million.
Yeah.
Worldwide gross $5 million. Probably more than you want to spend on a movie like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. Everything about this is weird.
Right?
Like, yeah, I hadn't heard about this at all.
It's Looney Tunes. Like, you figured they would try to get people to go see it.
But yeah, this is Warner Brothers too, right? Because it's
gotta
Looney
be.
Tunes. So yeah, what the hell are you doing?
You got one of the most recognizable IPs in the world. You're gonna throw a movie out without any marketing. I just whatever. I honestly thought it was the one they tried to shelve and someone made sure they got out, but apparently I was wrong about that. Oh, you're right. It was like Wile E. Coyote versus Acme or something, right? Like it was gonna be a courtroom. Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, with the guy that played MacGruber.
Yep. Will Arnett.
I bet that movie was gonna be funny.
It would be. Yeah, I'd watch it.
I saw an interview with him the other day, and he's still pretty upset about it. And it will never stop shocking me that the government allows that.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Right? That they allow a $100 million or whatever it cost tax write-off for somebody to be able to do that. Like that's never going to stop surprising me. And Warner Brothers has done it multiple times now.
It's just the rich finding a way to keep their money good.
Yeah, that's crazy. I hope that thing leaks someday.
I do too. That'd be fun. And the Batgirl movie. It can't be that bad.
Yeah.
It could be that bad.
But... It definitely can be that bad.
It definitely can.
Specifically that one. Like...
We saw Madam Web. It can't be worse than Madam Web. I guess it could be worse than Madam Web, but...
No, but you know the thing about it is I bet if it was going to be that bad, it was going to be a so bad it's good bad, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how bad that's how those DC movies get. When they're bad, they're bad.
They're bad. I want to see Brendan Fraser as Firefly. That would have been fun.
And just hamming it up
like
nobody's business.
I'm in for that.
Yeah. All right, so next up, Screen Rant is reporting that the upcoming animated Predator movie will contain not one, not two, but 3 anthology shorts of Predators in different historical eras, with 2 out of the 3 being pirates and samurai,
and the
fun. 3rd being undisclosed as of yet. Yeah, that is fun, right?
That's awesome. I'm excited to see that.
I know, you're a big animated guy.
I am.
I'll even watch this, though.
Yeah, you can give it a shot. There's 2.
Pirates and Samurai. Those are the big ones that everybody's been asking for. Yeah. It almost feels like, and this might be the the anti-animated movie in me saying this, but it almost feels like they're wasting the ideas on animation.
It's not a valid media form.
but you know what I mean?
Fair, yeah. You want to see live action samurai?
I want to see, the Pirates of the Caribbean with predators. Yeah. You know, I want to see Shogun with predators, right? Yeah. But maybe I'll watch this, and I bet it'll be awesome.
Maybe there's gauging which segment gets the most support, and then that'll be the next movie.
Maybe it's a weird way to do it. What's Warner Brothers in charge?
It's a way to do it. That's Disney, isn't it?
It is Disney.
So
they love their animated movies, but they're also very well known for doing live action remakes of their animateds. So
they typically suck or are not as good and pointless.
Yeah. After everything that I've said, I will say that I don't like their live action remakes. Very few of them have been good. You know what was good though that I'm a big fan of?
Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book.
That's like the best one, I think.
It is. Yep.
I respect the Beauty and the Beast one. I thought it was entertaining, but other than those 2, I can't really.
Terrible though.
Yeah, but I'm not as brutal on things for bad CGI. I'm more forgiving in that part. For that aspect, I should say.
Final piece of news that I have: rumors are swirling that Neill Blomkamp is
Yep.
writing and directing a new Starship Troopers movie. Did you see this one?
I did. I had it pulled up on my phone in case you didn't bring it up. I thought for sure you would, though. So, yeah.
Yeah. Everywhere has been running with this idea. So I like the idea. I like Neill Blomkamp. You know, I'm a big fan of District 9. You've seen District 9.
Oh, District 9 is so good. It's one of my favorite movies of that year.
It really is. Sure. I don't think anything he's made has quite hit that height since then.
I would say no.
And I think Starship Troopers it's a tough one to follow up because, I mean, if you do it well, people probably still won't like it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
People didn't even like Starship Troopers when it was released.
Now, a lot of people missed that it was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek movie a bit. That people didn't catch that at all.
Yeah.
I love Starship Troopers, though. I have it over there on the 4K Blu-ray.
I have it over there on the 4K Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of that movie, and I have always liked that movie. Yeah. I was a big fan of that when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Probably shouldn't have been watching a lot of that when I was that young, but
the shower scene, all those butts.
Yep. All those butts. This seems like a great time to do a new Starship Troopers. I rewatched it recently, and I mean, they're pretty in your face about all of that stuff in it. And I hadn't even picked up a lot of that when I was a kid. But like, you don't get to vote if you're not a like, what do they say? Like, you're a citizen, yeah? You're a citizen, and to be a citizen, you have to serve.
Yeah.
And then you then
you have to apply for it, I think.
Yeah, and they make like everything difficult if you haven't served. Like the one woman is talking about having a child.
She needs to serve to get the right to do it. Yeah.
Like, and she makes it sound like you don't necessarily have to, but it's very hard to get a license to have children if you haven't served.
Right.
And so, like, all that stuff. I mean, like, right now it's so relevant to do a movie like that, right?
Right. I completely agree. And like I said at the time, people just kind of it went over their heads. Some of that stuff in there. Because like there's over the top stuff like that. The famous scene of like the one guy standing in the rubble going, "The only good bug's a dead bug." People are like, "Why do you say it like that?" I'm like, to get a reaction. That's why I said it like that.
Yeah, there's so many things in that movie like that too. And I mean, like Neil Patrick Harris's character at the beginning of the movie, he's this like lovingly nerdy guy who jokes around and everything. By the time you see him at the end of the movie, he's literally a Nazi.
He is. Yeah.
Like, he's in Nazi regalia by the end of that movie. Yeah. And like that's kind of the message of it that they're trying to get across in there is how much of a dictatorship this regime is.
As you said, timely time for that.
Yeah. But despite all that, it's a very fun movie, you know?
It is.
Like, everything's over the top, and what's that? Helldivers 2? Mm-hmm. That's been huge this last year.
Right.
So I think, you know, they're like, okay, kids are totally into this idea.
Right.
Let's run with this idea. And it's relevant for the adults.
For those who don't know, Helldivers 2, the video game, it's basically Starship Troopers, the video game.
Yeah. Would you like to know more?
Yes. Click.
So that's all I got for news.
I did have one other thing that I saw today.
Danny's got more.
I got one additional thing is that Jenna Ortega is in talks to star in Single White Female, which is like a 90s horror movie. Yeah, so that's just she's continuing her Scream Queen building, I guess. She's doing all these scary like horror adjacent movies. Like she got Death of the Unicorn coming out. Obviously, the role she's already done. So yeah, she's just keeping on that path.
Yeah, and I think that's great for her. I love her in pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even she was one of the best parts of Beetlejuice, as you recall. I didn't really like that movie.
Didn't love it either, but
that's one of those things where like you can't look at any one part of it and be like, "Oh, it's this person's fault." You know?
Yeah.
Everybody that's in it does well. It's just that the parts don't add up into a, you know, great ingredients. But the main course didn't end up being all that. But yeah, she's great in that, and she's been great in everything. So yeah, I'm excited about that, and I'll probably watch that. Maybe I should finally watch the original. Would she be the villain in that?
I don't know. I would think probably.
I would love to see her as a villain.
I think she could do it.
Really dig into that.
I saw a Single White Female way back in the day, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, obviously it's a story of a girl who gets a roommate who ends up like obsessed with her. So that, to me, if she's the roommate, that could be quite a showcase.
Yeah.
Or even she's the main character, I guess. But yeah, it's just.
I saw the other girl that they cast as her, like, kind of looks like her too.
I didn't know they cast another girl.
Yeah, I didn't know who the actress was, and I didn't write any of this down. So, but yeah, her and one other actress that I didn't know were swirling it. But like they both kind of look alike, so I bet they're gonna lean into that
Oh
idea of
yeah,
it too.
they do that in the first movie. The girl like cuts her hair and like does things to look like the main actress, whose name escapes me,
Yeah,
but forgive me for that.
yeah, I can't think of it either. Yeah, nice. That's cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah, horror adjacent.
Yep. So, do you have any physical media for tonight?
I got one thing. I was telling Pat earlier, we had plumbing issues at this house. So I've been staying at my parents' house for the last couple of days. I also hurt my shoulder, so I kind of spent Sunday kind of out of commission, just going through like boxes of stuff that was put away in like my parents' attic and stuff. And I
Man's living
did,
a hard life.
yeah, it was and in the process of it, I came across this, which I thought would be great to add to my VHS collection. I didn't even know we owned this, but it's Ghostbusters on VHS,
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
right? It looks like brand new. I don't know how. I didn't even know we had this, but yeah, going through an old box of photos, and it was in the box of photos. So
Hey, that's perfect.
yeah, I
You
don't
gonna
know who
dust it off and watch it? Find a VCR?
could. I own that like every other media though, so I don't know if I need to.
I think it's worth it just to see what trailers are on it.
That could be fun. I do love those old school trailers. Those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, Vin has a tube TV too.
Hey, I do have to go visit him sometime soon, so it could be a fun little night.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. I got one thing, and it's a very fun thing. I really like this. So I got a 4K edition of Inglourious Basterds.
Nice.
And so this is the Arrow edition you see from the thing down
Mhm.
here. So you can see it's a thick boy too.
Thick boy. The thickness.
It's got a whole bunch of stuff with it here. And so it opens up into like this little dossier.
Oh, that's
You
cool.
see it's got a movie. It's got the 4K movie.
Be funny if it didn't.
It's got, for Michael Fassbender,
Oh, perfect.
yep, a little coaster there.
That's awesome.
It's got a poster in it, and then it's got like a book here. So this is really cool. It's got photos, like production stills in it. It's got notes detailing some behind the scenes things. So this is a 60-page book that comes with this, detailing all these behind the scenes things. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to dig into
pretty cool.
that. And yeah, I'm very happy that I got this. And I saw there's 2 different versions of this out there, and everybody says that this is the preferred version.
What's up at the
So,
bottom there? Is that just like a color code system?
I think that's part of what Arrow Video does, because that's kind of what those old videos used to do.
Okay, gotcha.
Because what that is generally is they would start the old movies with one of those things, and you would use the colors on the bottom to, what they're supposed to look like, right?
Right.
Like even photographers sometimes do this now too. So you see those colors on your screen or on the film or whatever, and you've got like a little note card here. And you know that the color grading is off if it doesn't
Mhm.
match what you've got
Okay.
in your hand. And
Alright.
so I think this is just kind of like a fun reference to that.
That is. That's fun. That Arrow
Yeah.
Media stuff, they put out some cool things. You sent me a bunch of it. I haven't bought anything from them yet, but I've been close a few times.
Yeah, I was really excited to find this. They've got a lot of good editions out there, so I highly recommend them.
Just bite the bullet and buy one.
Do it. This is a great one to go with. Big
You already
fan of
got
this
it.
movie.
But you already got it.
Yeah, I know, but you can have your own too.
That's true.
It's going to look great on a shelf.
That's true.
Got a fun poster. You can read a little 60-page booklet before bed each night.
I do like to read before bed.
All right. So next week we will have the top movies of 2003 list. So Dan and I have been putting this together for the last few weeks here. I have a lot of catching up to do on this list because I started a new job 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
But we're going to be doing that. It's going to be a lot of fun, so join us for that. And as usual, follow me on the socials at Bark Night Podcast. And please subscribe, like, throw me a 5-star rating if you're on Spotify, all those things so that more people will watch the show. Throw a share out there. You know somebody who likes movies, send it over to them.
Yeah, please do.
Help us build our audience.
Let's build.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and we will see you next week.